Brian White is here once again. We have a potpourri of things to discuss on this wonderful Tuesday with hopefully the stock being up again in a short session. Brian, do you care whether the stock is up today in a short session?
I don't care. Short, why? What is going on these days? Is there something
Christmas
important?
Eve or something. I don't
Oh, is
know.
that what it is? Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
put your stockings
Yeah.
out, Brian. Put your stockings out. You want to get your
Yeah.
lump. Yeah.
Yeah. The kids are old enough that we took them with us to do the shopping. Most of it, not the good stuff. The good stuff comes from uh comes from Santa's workshop, which due to glacial, to polar melting, has been relocated to China.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, check where it says it right on the toys. The
And it keeps going further
Santa's
south.
toys.
I think Vietnam is next. So,
Yeah.
so all right. I want to talk to you first about Juniper.
All right.
We are hearing that there are many spottings of Juniper in California. We are hearing that it is going to roll off the production lines maybe as early as January 2nd or 1st or whatever in China. I haven't heard yet from any authoritative source when it might roll off in US and Berlin. So, talk to me.
Uh all right. So we know that we've been seeing it in China for a while now. We've seen whole truckloads of them. I assume they're being kept in offsite lots. I assume they're already making them. And if that's the case, if they're making them already and the production is remaining as high as it is, because Shanghai's output does not appear to be impacted in terms of legacy Model Y. They're still selling them like crazy. What that means is when they do officially switch over, which I do believe will be in January, I don't know which date, I don't know if it matters. We haven't seen the new EPA sticker, the
Mm.
Chinese equivalent of it, the energy efficiency sticker. Um, I expect to see that any day. But as long as that's out the day of, they can sell them. So then what we're looking at is there's going to be a big flood of them. The old ones might need to be discounted a little or throw some
I
incentives
heard
on
they
them.
were sold out. I just saw that on
Oh,
somebody's thing that they're sold out for the Model Ys. There's none. There's none in China.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that they would still be making legacy Model Ys,
Okay.
and that they would just be shipped overseas, that they would go to other markets where Juniper is not yet launched while they get the Juniper lines up to speed. They would schedule the actual conclusion and they would conclude it. We have seen them testing more in California. They're very well disguised. They look exactly like a Model Y wearing a sports bra, an ill-fitting one at that. And that tells me that realistically, maybe even Q1. I know Tesla's itching for an upgrade.
Hmm.
Um, they're seeing Model Y sales flatten because it's already at the top, and when you're at the top, there's only one way to go. Uh, so there's yeah. So I still expect to see Model Y in the U.S. First half, but I really think it'll be closer to the end of the first half, just because Fremont is very slow to switch over. It's entirely possible that they're doing it in Texas. We've seen them packing in new equipment. I saw a lot of people, oh, that means they're already ramping up Robotaxi. It does not mean that. It definitely doesn't mean that. I, talked to the engineers, what, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. They still hadn't settled on what the skin would be.
Right, right,
I
right.
feel like that's pretty important before you start assembling the assembly line. So I think that's a Model Y line that's being put in for Juniper. In terms of Berlin, we don't get the quality of footage. We only get drone footage on weekends. You're never going to see them packing in equipment. They did put up a couple of new tents. It could be that that's where they were storing equipment, so it wouldn't be in the sight of prying eyes from the sky. But that's pure speculation. I think the Model Y now, Europe got Model 3 refresh early because they accept Model 3s from China.
Mhm.
They do not get Model Ys from China.
Right.
So I think that would be a priority too, especially because Tesla sales are down in
Yeah.
Europe,
Yeah.
especially in Germany, where
Yeah.
Volkswagen has taken a commanding lead with their ID series of vehicles, of which I've got 4 or 5 now. And I think that means that they want to get that market share back, but also it means the Juniper is cheaper to build.
Yeah.
It's going to be cheaper to build, which means they'll have potentially better margin because there will be excitement. And yeah, I would expect Berlin to also begin changing over first half.
So I ran a couple of polls this morning. I didn't have a chance to go back and look after they got at least 40 or 50 views to see what was going on. But when they were sitting at around 9 or 10 views, which doesn't tell you much, but it tells you a little bit, it was interesting that a fair number of people said they would be upgrading their current Model Y to the Juniper Model Y. So this could mean I already think that when I've been saying this since last January, that when Model Y upgrades, there's going to be a dramatic increase in sales. But I hadn't thought about the upgrade part of it. And so, people are driving around in four, like we are. It's 4 years old. Our car is 4 years old, and there's people with 5-year-old vehicles that might be not only ready to upgrade, but the upgrades are so fantastic. I could imagine seeing a pretty darn good bump from that.
So look at someone like Justin, the bearded Tesla guy. He's already got, I think, 3 or 4 Teslas. Well, now he's got another one because he was able to get it on a lease. He was able to apply the $7,500 credit on the lease.
Right.
He was able to add in about 8,000 from referral dollars. So his lease is, he posted it on X, I want to say like $300 a month with no down payment. So no down, 300 a month, brand new Model Y. That is generous. That is a whole lot of money to stack to get it out the door. I'm broke. I'm famously broke. But if I could get if all my referrals clear, I could have a $12,000 discount
Yeah.
on my on a purchase. Add to that the federal, that's 20,000 off.
Yeah.
If I could get a Model Y with 7 seats of a Highland variety before the IRA's gone with those credits during 2025, I would have to seriously consider it because my payment would actually go down because with my trade-in value, and then the loan resetting to 0 months already, because it's
Mhm.
been pushed out and interest rates have come down, I might be able to just move into uh, a Juniper for less than I'm paying now. So, and that means my car, which is only at that point a year and a half old, will probably have 35,000 miles on it, tons of warranty left.
Mhm.
That'll be a fantastic bargain for someone.
Yeah. All right. So then the other poll that I ran was with regard to the Cybertruck, because I've been saying that the Cybertruck was actually cannibalizing Model Y sales, especially because the Model Y hadn't been
Mm,
refreshed.
mm.
So I thought, well, okay, what's good for the goose? I got to turn that one around. And how many people who have orders for Model Y once the Juniper was out, would say, never mind to the Cybertruck. I'm now going to go get the Model Y. And it was, again, with very small numbers coming in, it was running around 12%.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much overlap there is in those two markets. I think uh, Cybertruck is absolutely destroying S and X sales, but Model Y, I mean, they're just so different in terms of price point, in terms of just really everything. So yeah.
And yet for my family, that is actually you know, even though it's for a retired old man who's never had a truck and an English professor who's never had a truck, it's still, we have one on order, which we intend to take delivery on instead of the Model Y that we have now. But I could think about, I could imagine a scenario where where the Cybertruck stayed at 80,000 for another 6 or 8 months. And we're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and upgrade. Anyway,
What the Cybertruck needs is the $7,500 credit.
the 7,500 credits and the
That's what it
$60,000
needs.
price point.
Well, if it had both, it'd be unstoppable. But if it had even the 7,500, I know a lot of people who won't get one out of principle. It's supposed to have that discount. I feel slighted. I will wait until I at least get clarification. Now, if it's never going to qualify, I think Tesla would have told us that so that people would get off the fence. I
Right.
think it's going to qualify. That's my guess. That's my speculation. And that when it does, it'll kick sales back up. But until it does, you have to have a business. You have to be a business purchaser to get that discount.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't.
All right, next subject in the potpourri would be the 4680. I was very, very excited because I just love the 4680. Very excited to hear that the other four lines, so we have four lines operating now that are supposed to be able to give us a total of 100. I have bubbles. I have bubbles going on here. Brian, I don't know what the heck that was all about, but I will see if I can stop it from happening anymore. Anyway, we had four lines operational, and now apparently according to Tegmeyer, the other four lines are being installed. So to you, or do you know anything on top of that? Does that mean we're getting close to being fully ramped on the first four lines?
I do not know. I would assume that that's the case because I cannot imagine them expanding it while the first four are being dialed in. There would be potentially changes that they would then have to go and do rework on something that isn't even running. So that tells me that any changes that would need to be made would be subtle. I do not have more information than Joe Tegmeyer on 4680.
Okay. Then we go over to the mezzanine. So we have the
Oh
famous
yeah.
mezzanine being added in Austin, and so this is another floor, an entire floor. My understanding is that there's going to be a, an automobile produced on that floor, but that's just other people's speculation. I think. What speculation can you add?
So to give clarification for people who don't know what we're talking about, Giga Texas is technically a two-story building. Although if you look at it, in many places it's 3 and 4 floors. They call those in-between floors mezzanines. That doesn't mean they're small. They're not. Each of those original 2 floors had ceilings of 35 to 40 feet. They're very tall. So when you put an in between floor, those floors are still taller than any regulation office building you've ever been in. They're huge. I've seen people say, oh, yep, that's Cybercab. They're building it now. Stop. Please stop. I don't see a reason they would need to. Joe Techmeyer toured the factory, and I don't mean like a friends and family tour. He got a VIP tour in July. He was able to see that there is already ample floor space for manufacturing of additional lines and products.
Wow.
They've got the space. What I think is going there is the management team, the engineering team,
Oh,
the workers to support a factory of that size running at the kind of speed we expect to see. I don't think now I didn't get a good look at the construction of it, but I don't think you would put the heaviest of machinery in that space. And the Cybercab doesn't need a whole lot of space. That could be an area where they work sub-assemblies. They could
mhm.
absolutely do that. Um, and I can't say that it's premature to put in floor space that you're going to need at some point because nothing costs more than a rush job. If we need the floor space, put it in. It's fine. So yeah, I think it is my guess that it'll be for non-manufacturing space or very light industrial work, but not for the actual line itself.
All right. Well, since we're speculating, my last question for today is going to ask you to speculate wildly. Okay.
Oh, I'm ready.
Because this one just is driving me nuts. So we have Reno over there and Zenigler. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Zangler?
Zengler? Okay, Zengler. Zengler is flying over there and he said, look, it's like done. I mean, we got the walls up, we got the roof on, we got the windows are in. I mean, it's except for this one section which has been added where apparently maybe some of the casting
Stamping.
stamping and machines are going to go. This facility is really close to ready to start putting in the lines, or maybe the lines are, once you put the walls, usually with Tesla, once they put the walls and the roof on, they start putting the production equipment in. And he says, he also points to a whole bunch of production equipment that seems to be sitting out there. Why are we talking about this being like, fourth quarter before we're going to see production?
Okay.
And I even asked him that, and he didn't get back to me.
So typically when Tesla builds a building, they'll be putting the concrete in often before the walls are even in. We'll see that a lot. No walls, plenty of concrete. Well, concrete requires warmth to properly dry and cure. And Reno this time of year is very cold. So what you do is you put the walls up first and then you pour the concrete. So even though the walls are up, he is seeing the cement trucks going in and out all day.
Wow.
So they are now pouring the floors, which means you're going to want to wait, a couple weeks before you start putting full weight, heavy equipment. You can put furniture, you can put small robots and things like that, but you're not going to put in, the sort of thing that required you to pour the floor in the first place. The heavy foundations inside, the footings that we've seen are long since cured inside. There are areas where we know they're going to have very heavy equipment, maybe interim stamping equipment. We're not sure what they're for, but heavy equipment. So it is nowhere close to done. What you have is a finished building, not a finished factory. And that was a mistake a lot of Lucid fans made when following the progress of their factory construction. And this was a year and a half ago. They were saying, look, the new factory's done. And I'd say, no, the new building is done. You've seen how much equipment was packed into Giga Texas every day of every week for 6 months, and no cars came out, because that's how much equipment you needed to pack in. And at the Lucid factory, we saw no equipment, very little to no equipment going in ever. It's just a big empty building.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing in Texas right now. If what he has seen next to the factory sitting there is production equipment, it's obviously not ready to go inside. Most of the floors have not yet been poured. They will pour them. They will dry as needed. They will cure and harden as needed. And then they'll start putting the line together. You have to put the line together. You have to actually build it. I don't believe it'll take 6 months to do that. But this is a new thing. This isn't like Shanghai where they were making Model 3s again or Model Ys again. This is the Semi for the first time. They have the pilot line. This is different. And the stamping building, I think Zangler may have misunderstood a bit. When what's his name, Travis, anyway, when the executive said we're doing the signing ceremony for the beam, this other building, it's being done on a different timeline. He took that to mean it's on a very different timeline. I don't mean that. The building is done enough for the steel workers to sign the beam. This will be following right on its heels. It'll be 2 months behind it, maybe. Not a consequential delay. So yeah, it's first half is a safe bet, and I wouldn't be comfortable going much more aggressive than that, just because there's uncertainty.
All right. So you think we might be looking at some kind of production by the end of the first half?
Correct.
Okay. And so the ramp that we saw in Cybertruck, it was tens and then hundreds. Are we looking at maybe building 1,000 or 2,000 in that facility this year? Or
in 2025?
2025, yeah.
Yes, I think 4 digits is the right number. I think you could easily see 1,000. And what's hilarious is, did you know Nikola Motors had their best sales year ever this year? This year, as of like 2 weeks ago, they'd already surpassed, and this is their best year ever. How many trucks have they sold this year, Randy?
I don't pay attention to the competition, to be honest with you. So yeah.
205.
205.
It might have been 203. It was 20 something. And how much did they lose on each truck?
Yeah, right.
$2 million
On each truck.
On each and every truck.
Oh my goodness.
So the competition's coming, Randy.
Okay, well, let's get worried about that then.
And my heart goes out to the poor engineers and workers who are assembling those trucks, but the company is not long for this world.
Holy mackerel. Well, okay, but Tesla is long for this world, and
Yeah.
I thank you for bringing me up to date on the things that I was confused about, because if I'm confused about them, at least one person in the audience probably is wondering the same thing that I am. All right, Brian, any last words of wisdom before we turn you loose to go celebrate Christmas Eve and, find out what Santa left you in the sock?
I already know it's going to be coal. I've been very naughty, so I just got to deal with that. Yeah, that's it.
Naughtiness is a problem.
Hmm.
I get it.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know next week how you did. How many lumps?
Hmm.
That'd be the question. All right. And to all of you out there, it has been Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing you. Actually, I'll be doing 3 shows tomorrow too, but maybe they would have been produced at some other time. We'll see. All right. It's been great talking to you.